everything returns to the water.
Whoa, what was that? Anyway, our quote for today is, "In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act." By, looks like no one knows who said this one.
I hope nothing bad happened to them.
What if everything we thought we knew about Rinascita was a carefully crafted deception? What if the greatest catastrophe in history is not in our past, but looming on the horizon? Well, I'm 98% sure I figured out the true threat to Rinascita, and it might surprise everyone. Today we peel back the layers of secrecy and uncover a terrifying truth. If you thought the last video's conclusion was bad,
stick around, Chief. You ain't seen nothing yet.
Truth. Truth is a funny thing, you know? Everyone considers it valuable, but very few are willing to pay what it costs. Comfortable lies versus uncomfortable truths.
Truth. Don't make me laugh.
What will the people of Rinascita ultimately pick when it's all said and done? But hey, who needs truth when you have money?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime!
Ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce you to The Vault? The Vault, a place of innumerable riches, precious cargo, and mystery. Within its walls lies the family's vast collections of treasures, including precious metals, artworks, and rare echoes. The Vault boasts a formidable array of echo guards and advanced security devices, making it the safest and most impregnable place in Rinascita. It defies any ordinary means of intrusion. This top-of-the-line facility has everything. You name it, from ancient scrolls, expensive statues, exotic echoes, to empty pet food canisters, and even, you guessed it, old air. Be sure to visit the Vault and sign up for their worry-free plan. Perfect for families. Now, this is all common knowledge, but there are rumors that the Vault holds mysteries that, if exposed, would cost someone their livelihood, even their very life. Be warned, truth seekers, for the price of the treasure you seek is hefty. Yet and still, rejoice, for the fruits of your labor shall produce dividends for the future generations. In a hidden part of the underground vault, there's a letter that states, "O Supreme Sentinel, the great Imperator, I have never questioned you. You led us from the farthest reaches of the sea to this land, teaching us to walk the righteous path and embrace joy. Yet, those who claim to be your servants have distorted your teachings. The masses remain silent, while those who stand by the truth are banished here. May you forge our faith into spears and our suffering into shields. May you grant us vengeance, or at the very least, a merciful rest." You notice how the writer mentions the truth gets you banished? I've been thinking for some time now that it's very odd that the Order is suddenly accepting of the previously deemed heretical plays of the Fool's Troop. Unless the imitation is a guise by which they can keep an eye on them. In fact, I believe the Order isn't too happy with Rover getting that shiny crown on stage either. You see, the entirety of Ragusa City witnessed it, and thus, the Rover puts the Order in a rather precarious situation. Imagine if that moment the Rover was crowned, they shouted out in a big announcement that the Sentinel told them,
"Hey everybody, the Sentinel told me to tell you that the Order's been lying to y'all this entire time. In fact, the premise isn't even the enlightened one."
That would be hilarious and quite risky. You see, due to the sheer size and history of the Order, not everyone will be convinced. In fact, the Order could probably find a way to spin this narrative. Rover is playing it smart, and they're keeping their cards close to their chest. The Order knows the risk that the Rover presents, which is likely why they invited Rover to speak at the end of the third act. Thus, they hatched up a plan to literally kill two birds with one bomb-shaped stone. They also didn't forget the role that Carlotta and the Montellis played in inviting Rover to Rinascita, snooping around the ruins or inviting the aid of the Fool's Troop. So they decided to extend a fake olive branch in the form of a collaboration between them and the Alvarado Vault. What's worse is poor Phoebe was just an unfortunate bystander that got caught in the crosshairs of the Order schemes. She wasn't even supposed to be there. However, it seems Phoebe's presence was exactly what was needed. Because as we discover, Phoebe was able to turn a bomb meant to destroy the underground vault, along with its secrets, into a device meant for saving lives. We learned that hidden in the vault, there were researchers who got too close to the truth. They discovered a hidden chapter of the Order's history and were hunted down and stripped of their titles and occupations. The Montellis feigned loyalty to the Order in order to save the researchers and artists. Locking them up in the vault, in reality, served as a refuge that allowed them to continue their research. If you recall, Carlotta mentions in the upper office of the Alvarado Vault,
"The Montellis have long pursued the buried secrets of Rinascita. The Order's tampering with the Codex, and the mysterious erasure of the Age of Ignorance and the age of conflict from our history. If anything can break the chains around Rinascita and grant freedom to all, it must be the truth.
It seems this acquisition was part of their quest for truth. The Order wanted to get rid of all their problems in one fell swoop, except Phoebe, of course. Her involvement was an accident. Otherwise,
I won't hesitate to tear them down.
Fortunately, Phoebe saved the day, and wouldn't you know it, the vault was so happy it spread its wings? Well, has anyone seen this before? They have. This lovely sight of golden wings in the Ragunan sky was something of a projection meant to symbolize the hope for the researchers' spirits to eventually be released. An old log in the underground vault noted, "Nobody can carry on after bearing such a heavy fate. The tragedy deep underground fills us with sorrow. Thus, the wings that symbolize a long journey fold, awaiting the day when the departed will finally find release." The Order really wants Rover out of the picture, it seems, but the question that keeps nagging at me is, why? Why all the lies? Why go as far as exiling threats to your rule? Why try to kill Rover and an innocent acolyte while blowing the underground vault sky high? Well, I think to answer that, it's about time we talked to their manager.
Yes? Hello? I'd like to speak to the promoted in charge, please. Not there? Well, I just find it funny how you all sent a fake olive branch. Fake olive
Branch? Olive branch! Wait, often viewed as an offering of peace and reconciliation in the ancient Greco-Roman world. However, the genesis, no pun intended, of this comes from the story of Noah. Theologians trace the ancient associations to Genesis 8, when Noah, during the aftermath of the Great Flood, attempting to look for a sign of assurance, released a dove in the hope it would find land. It returned with a small olive branch in its beak. In fact, when I think about it a bit more, I've been seeing a lot of things around Rinascita that eerily remind me of Noah, like this boat here on the mountain. Genesis 8:4 mentions that Noah's boat landed on the mountains of Ararat after the flood, which is the geographical region of present-day Armenia. In Phoebe's weapon description, it states, "The sentinel's grace, how sweet thou art. Our home was lost, but found at last. With twigs between my beaks, I braved the waves. Bound by love, we're crowned with holy light." Not only does this sound like the song Amazing Grace, we also know that in Genesis 8:11, a dove returns to Noah with an olive branch in its beak, signifying that land has been found, which further signifies hope amongst the treacherous waters. In fact, if you think about it, the vault is something of an ark in its own right. An ark is often understood as a boat or ship that affords protection and safety, but not always. This matches the description of the vault very well. Similar to the biblical ark, it houses valuable objects. All that's missing is a means of transportation. Oh wait, check. But what does all of this mean? How does it relate to the Order? This is where the truth begins to take form. A boat stranded at the peak of a mountain, a clear metaphor, one eerily reminiscent of Noah's Ark. But here in Solaris 3, there's no divine covenant, only a desperate attempt to survive what's coming. Let's start with the infamous Transgressor's transcript.
No one has ever suspected this mass hallucination. No one has ever resisted the dissipation of the form.
Well, there's one part I left out. The end of that quote reads, "Every drop of water will eventually return to the sea." Maybe you're starting to catch on. Let's continue. In the 137th edition of the Codex of the Deep, we notice something very interesting. A prophecy from the first Primus, Napoleon II. It reads, "In a distant future, a last wave shall engulf the earth. Those saved must breathe to ascend in unity on new land, just as we once answered the Sentinel's call and made landfall on Rinascita." Later in the Codex it reads, "From water all life was created in the first wave, and will end in the last wave." In other words,
The sky is falling! There's about to be a flood! Abandon ship! No, wait! Get on the ship!
everybody calm down.
Everyone to the vault!
Let's just take a second and think.
Martelli's fly us out of here!
Hey! Hold on. Let's just take a second to think about this. Hasn't the Order shown themselves to be untrustworthy? They've changed the statues, the literature, everything. This is probably just as much of a lie as Chicken Little over here's comments on the sky. Huh? What's that? There's evidence? Let me see that. It says here, a Black Shores member mentioned in a field report that Bloom Bears should keep a critical but open mind regarding the faith of the Reganesi, that their mythologies aren't entirely baseless, as the worldviews espoused are similar to that of the Tethys system. To further validate their claims, we learned of an altercation between a Honglong researcher and an acolyte of the order. The researcher named Nathan mentions the etheric sea, which we know to be a special type of abnormal weather phenomenon. The sky appears to resemble an upside-down ocean surface. Typically, when the etheric sea phenomenon appears, a tacit field is about to form on the ground. It's a part of the wave-worn phenomenon, and in addition to the formation of tacit fields, can eventually lead to the occurrence of retroact rain. For more on this topic, check out my beginner's guide to Wuthering Waves lore in the card above. The acolyte Matthias, whose name derives from Matthew in the Bible, or Matityahu, meaning God's gift, strongly disagrees. He states, the tides in the sky are clear evidence of the Sentinel's prophecy, and only by gathering under the protection of the Imperator and the Order, by constantly ascending and connecting, can we find the path to salvation. Okay, I think I might see what's happening here. This sounds like something I've heard before. Let's take a trip back in time. Do you remember this guy? Yeah, him. Scar might have laid this out at the very beginning. I seem to recall him saying this when asked about the Threnodians.
The Threnodians. They hold the key to our ideal. Together, they will bring us the promised true lament. And we will embrace the new world that is bound to come.
And when asked about the lament, he says this.
What is the lament? Disaster? Curse? Some kind of punishment? People only see the surface. The lament brings death, destruction, and countless reverberations. Reverberations that will be reflected, overlapped, and interwoven during the lament. They will be our salvation. The only path to a new life form and a new civilization.
I don't know about you all, but this true lament is starting to sound a lot like the last wave the Order speaks of. In fact, if my theory about the Order being led by the Threnodian is correct, it might be the case that this prophecy is actually a death sentence. What if I told you the last wave is not just a poetic phrase, it's literal. The etheric sea is not a boundary between life and the unknown. It's a flood waiting to happen. And those who believe they can ascend may not be seeking enlightenment, but escape. The ascension the Order speaks of is actually the same thing the Fraxidus are pushing for. Now it makes sense why they're working together. The Acolytes and the followers of the Order likely have no idea what the true goal of their faith, or rather, the Order, is. The true lament sounds like a twisted version of Revelations, honestly. The Bible mentions how heaven comes down to earth, and a new land is created called New Jerusalem. The true lament might have the heavens come down to earth. It also will create a new land. Those who survive will shape this world in their image. But who will be worthy of ascension? And who will be left to drown? The signs, the vault, the codex, the etheric sea, they all point to one inescapable conclusion. The flood isn't a myth, it's a prophecy, and it's about to be fulfilled. Are you ready for the last wave? This has been Life Lessons. I hope you all enjoyed it. Please like the video, share it, all those fun things. If you find it in your heart to do so, feel free to subscribe. We do lore, story, and community discussions on this channel, and there's much more to come. So thank you all so much. And until next time.
Hey, you. Do the thing.